Boyo. Oh, what, you muted?
What's good, my guy?
Shut up. Crazy. I almost slept the night away.
Hey, son, that means you needed to sleep.
I'm bionic. I don't need sleep.
Oh, okay. I definitely need sleep, but I respect you.
Yeah.
You like what's the name in iRobot, Will Smith. You don't need those sleep, right? Respect.
Exactly. So what's new?
Nah, man, getting to it. I had an interesting weekend, man. Or not really interesting weekend, an interesting I don't know, epiphany, I would call it. Not really. I mean, it's not something that we don't already know, already haven't been like made aware of. But am I trying to got feedback there? I'm good.
Are you good?
All right. Just like to this week we had a number of situations where what I'm saying, we helped Connective, myself, being the source of everything. We helped out a big brand pull off a commercial, and by doing that, I had to tell some of the kids were like, "Yo, coach, good looking, I appreciate it." And I was like, "Yo, honestly, because one of the students was like, "Yo, that was a great event." I even reached out to them to tell them thank you as well. And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good thing that you did that." I said, but I want you to realize that you guys were the resource. Like you guys made the commercial fire. Like you guys elevated what they were doing, and more so, they should be hitting you up, telling you thank you. Uh, and so this company, they gave me they offered to give me some free merch, and like as a as a token of their appreciation. And it was just, to me, it was just a reminder that even when you become an expert, or you become the most informed person in the room as it pertains to anything, if you are a minority or of color, people are always gonna want what you do for free, or for what I'm saying, for a little bit of merch, and you should feel good about that. And then this on Sunday, I got a call from my sister and somebody at the police department that worked in the youth division. They wanted to do a summer camp. The police department wants to start an AAU program, so to speak, and they had reached out to see if I would help them. And so my reply was like, "Yeah, what's the budget?" What?
The roaring rats.
Yeah, and it's funny because that was one of the things that. So I was like, "What's the budget?" And then the lady replied, third party was like, "Yeah, we don't got no budget." And so I was like, "Would you?" I said, "With this," and so mind you, I helped this lady out before with something, what I'm saying, free of charge. So I kind of encouraged the behavior that is taking place now, which I had to address. But it's like, why don't you have budget? Why? How do you feel? How can you go out your way to reach out to us or to me, knowing that I can help you? But then in that same breath, say that, well, I don't have any budget, or we don't have any budget to allocate for whatever it is your expertise is, whether that be bringing kids in or whatever. And so I wrote her an email basically breaking down, like, some of the problematic issues. And so my number one was just like, listen, I'm not comfortable having young black and brown boys play for the police department when I don't know what else is going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, for all I know is that you're gonna have the same guys that are out on patrol, who don't necessarily understand the culture, coaching these kids, right? And so I was like,
they said, "Hey, listen, we're gonna double team number 5. Also, he has a standing warrant."
But that's what I was saying. I was like, yo, I think there's certain levels of of things that are just disconnected, like, you know, that a person in law enforcement that is also doubling out a coach has, you know, problems with doing. Like, what do you do when a kid drops the, you know what I'm saying, the knife or the 2.5 out their bag, and you are the police first and not the coach first? At that point, do you have to now arrest that kid, or, you know, like a number of things that are just didn't make any sense. And so the lady, you know, got up in arms, is like, yo, what either you gonna do it or you ain't gonna do it. Like, and I was just like wow, like, you hitting my line and ask me to help you out, really ask
Check.
for a favor, you know what I'm saying? And then because I don't adhere to your timeline, or because I have some questions that I want answered and I want vetted before I decide to even be on board or even think about being on board, it's just like a level. And mind you, this is a young lady of color, right? And so and somebody, you know, highly decorated in regards to her youth situation in the department. But it just showed me that, you know, even if you don't necessarily know it, that these institutions, you know, they practice tokenism and they put people out front. So because that looks good, and that makes that hits the agendas. But I was just like, you know, it was just amazing to me, because it was like, wow, like, on one hand, you know, I must be valued because you know that, you know, I can help you out. But on the other hand, I shouldn't be asking you for any kind of budget. It's just mind boggling to me. So I don't really know what my point was, but the
Your
realization I came
point
to
is
was that,
value. Your point is value.
yeah, that and it's value, and it's knowing your value, is being uncompromised with your value, because no matter what, specifically if you're a minority, like, people are going to want to compromise that, or, you know, it'd be less than. Even in a space now where people are reaching out for black this, black that, minority this, minority that, you still have to either go through another couple loops, or you still have to, you know, if you don't show love to your people by doing something for free, now you cooning. So it's like you damned if you do, damned if you don't sometimes. And so for me, I'm okay with that, because I know my worth. But I think about the students who are finding and operating in their passion, and good enough to get paid for what they do right now. You know, the narrative is that, yo, if you love somebody, you'll do it for free. You know, if somebody's, but if you love yourself and you're passionate about what you're doing and you're serious about it, you should want to get paid. And though we say that all the time, we don't practice that. You know, we don't practice that. We don't teach that outside of, you know, outside our personal circles, because we don't necessarily have the wherewithal, the bandwidth to tell everybody that. But I just find that this young lady of color tapping into me, telling me how she needs help. And the last time I helped her, she didn't. There wasn't any compensation. It was how we always do. No worries, I got it. It's for the kids. She didn't tap back in and tell me it was how it was. Thank you, nothing. And then she hit me back up to do some more free labor. And then got tight when I said, you know, what is the budget? And you probably, you know, we had a lot of conversations about this, Dirt, and I wasn't always comfortable saying that, right? You would always say, yo, what's the that sounds great, Bugs. But yo, what's the budget? What's their budget? I would come up with these great opportunities that, you know, were great opportunities for the people, not great opportunities for us, because at the end of the day, we were already leap years ahead of anybody doing this kind of work. I just wasn't comfortable saying that, and in my own space, I guess I wasn't there yet. But
Yeah.
you know, now I'm there. You know what I'm saying? And now it's even more atrocious to hear people, you know, to see people move like that. You know, specifically, you know, when I know that, you know, I am the closest thing to whatever it is, the ultimate, whatever it is you call yourself looking for, as it pertains to education.
Yep. That's black economics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but what you're talking about is a lack of knowledge of self, for because you're an educator. You're not just educating students. You're a public servant. Your job is to educate and to service the public.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is black people forgot their actual worth because they're disconnected from their history. So we don't get to this point because everybody's sacrificing who they are just for the greater good of America. That's not how it works. Like we definitely had to constantly negotiate and gain 4 feet and lose 3.5, and gain 5 feet and lose 4.5. And we're at one of those points where we lost a lot, but we're coming back around for the public education portion of it. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of that, but it's imperative that you continue to stand in your truth and understand that it should always be. No one's going to value you if you don't, which you clearly that's what you're communicating, but it's hard to constantly stand in that. Like every single instance is an opportunity to negotiate. And the more you can add value to what you do, the more you can prove it, the more you can expect to get it. So it's just going to keep coming. Like for all the, probably more valuable than you actually getting a bag off of it, which is Black empowerment. Probably more valuable than that is you creating the friction for people who don't understand the importance and thus educating them. It's like, no. We didn't come here with slavery. We came with the explorers as well. Like history doesn't begin with slavery and free labor. Like we've been getting money. We've been like you're very confused as to who we are. We're masters of value. That's why we can give it away for free. That's why Mansa Musa could do his pilgrimage and completely change the gold markets of countries, create inflation out of his charity. You know, we back. That's the time we back on. So, but it's interesting to me as someone who prides himself off of like teaching people how to fish. You know what I'm saying? So that's more so like you're in a position where your stories are gonna educate people. You don't even have to tell them because you're gonna be doing it. Like this is how you realize the value of your experiences. So we just gave this X, Y, and Z for free. It was a mistake. Our hearts led us to give it for free. That's genuine. That's not a mistake. Our logic allowed us to give it away for free. That was a mistake. Because that's what they expect you to be from here on out until you have that conversation. Better to have it early and stand up in that, like, oh, this is what it feels like for people to be forced to reckon with you. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when you're a youngin' and you're like you're trying to you like a young lady or something and you're trying to bag her. Basically, you tell her anything to try to bag it. Like I'm sorry, that's probably not appropriate. You'll tell her anything to try to spark up some interest from her, right? And pretty much, you're not, you sitting there buying food. You're not gonna continue to buy food. You sitting there, whatever it is. Oh, you looking like you're not gonna continue. You're acting all kind of outside of who you are, or you're exaggerating who you are, so that you can, entice her, which is a level of finesse, as opposed to showing her who you are, like straight up and down, where it's like, oh, well, that can be sustainable. Like that's how you build an actual relationship. This is who I am. I value these. I don't know how you are, but getting to know one another for real rather than hitting them with the smoke and mirrors. And I'll do it, but once you get to the point of you just want to build relationships, like real relationships, it's not even about the it's about the value of the exchange and how sustainable it could be. So that applies to everything, especially business. I mean, I'm at that same point. It's funny that you say that. I'm at that same point with every single contract I come across. I realize now, as a Black male, I have to negotiate. Like I can't just. It's it's the most liberating thing in the world to never negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can just be like, oh, good, okay. Oh, cool. But now it's like, wow, I got to make up for fam. You still haven't seen any reparations. That's a problem. That's a problem.
That's a
That's a
fact.
problem. Yeah. So we still in that space.
And it's
Charging for what they did to the cold crush.
You heard? And so I was talking to Andy and Ors, just about like, you know, like even the things now that are supposed to be like, I don't even know what authentic means anymore as it applies to one's actions, you know, one being authentic, or what that even means now.
Yeah, it got hijacked.
Yeah, like everything does, but I think more so what I mean is like, I think everybody like it's a culture of cat. Like you can't like you know like the puff joint, like you can't escape the cap. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't. And more so like cap is a necessary tool now that everybody is applying. People in all spaces of business, more the nonprofit than any place else. You know, the churches. It's just like, yo, it's like nothing but cap curation, right? And so I say that because they were shooting. It was a basketball thing, and so they were shooting like playing this basketball game. And why they was playing a game? They had this fake money, right? And so like it was like a stack of money, and so but it wasn't all real, but it was for the cap. But I was just like, I was looking, I was like, yo, dad, is the love of the game not enough? We gotta like it's just regular competition not enough. Like if you lose, you lose. And having to lose on camera is not enough anymore. Like now that even things that are naturally like already competitive and already have that you know that glow, it doesn't even matter if you have a natural glow anymore. Like everybody is contouring. Like everybody is, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like it doesn't matter how official it is, we gotta make it more official. And it doesn't matter how much cap we gotta do to make it that way. And like when I was sitting there watching, I was like, yo, this is crazy. And I not say like I haven't already noticed it, but like I was like, yo, wow, like it's you just can't be good. You gotta be capping at all times. And everybody has to be capping. And then wow, so this is a video shoot for surrounding the basketball, and most of the people behind the camera do not match the people they're filming, right? Do not match the people that they're curating, right? Everybody behind the camera is white, and everybody that they're taping in front of the camera is African American or of a minority descent. And it's like, yo, even in a production, it's still capped, because it's like, though we're talking about all of this inclusion and all of this, what you call it, the people telling our story, the people putting together these images are not necessarily a part of the culture, and they don't even have to opt in anymore. So it was kind of I don't know, I wouldn't say eye opening because I'm not surprised, but like it was just like, dag, like the event was popping. The kids were having a great time, and even on top of that, they was like, yo, let's pull out these fake 20s and make this moment even more spectacular. I'm about to.
I got you. I don't know how you spec cap.
That might be Lingo King 2.5. You heard, Dirk?
It certainly is. Spectacular. That's fire. Yo, trademark Lingo King.
Word.
Get out of here, vultures. That's another thing that got me tight, man. All the The vultures is coming out there. They've been hibernating for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of evolving and becoming a beautiful butterfly, they came right back out with the broisms and the, like you said, this is, I mean, I hate to be this frank with you, brother, but you fed the vulture machine. You gave them your thing for free. Your
Nah,
community, your you know, your value, you blessed them with you gave the vultures a free meal. Well, I don't know exactly who it is, but and see, it's tough to say because sometimes we have to do it. Sometimes we still have to do it. Sometimes we still are spreading our seed, but oh, you muted yourself. I don't know if you meant to.
my fault.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes we do have to do it, but I would say, man, 1 out of 10. Each big brand that got access.
No, I absolutely. I just it's crazy. It's definitely spectacular, yo.
They hit you. You got sometimes you get caught up in the magic dust too.
No, that's true
People,
too.
people being buddy buddy, like, oh, we could do this. Oh, we could do this, and then it's a little segue, and you're like, oh, okay, we in the love space, so we good. And it's like, oh, you just you just put cap on cap.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But this summer, be careful because it's gonna be a lot of that. And think about it, everyone's reemerging, and their truth is shining through. So it's going to be there's going to be the space that we create, which is, I mean, at the end of the day, there's people that understand our value and bring us the equivalent. And then there's everybody who doesn't understand the value and think we should do things for free.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 40. That's over.
Mm-hmm.
And bigger than that, like I know my actual value. It's more. It's not even a personal value. It's the value of our ancestors and what we're carrying into the future, right? So, like I know Nana and her brothers, they made history in the 50s, bro. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know I know how slavery actually played out. I know it wasn't just a bunch of people loading a bunch of black people on a ship and sending them to America. I know out of the 10, 12 million that made it here, I know 60 million died. 6 to 1. Whether from rebelling or not surviving that triangle trade for whatever reason. So I know the history that got passed down just in pure DNA from that point until the last 400 years in America, we've never been compensated for our labor for 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
We built Wall Street. We built America. We built democracy. People didn't even understand democracy properly. I was just reading W.E.B. Du Bois, The Gifts of Black Folk. Fam, democracy was at its American inception. It was like very immature. It did not include the people. Hence, you could have democracy and still have slavery. So, what kind of democracy is that? But it also didn't include uh, poor white laborers. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the greatest shifts to happen in America is that the democratic ideals went to, so the democratic ideals were to include white merchant class, white, let's call them millionaires. That term came from like the industrial era, but the origination of democracy was to include the white wealthy, the ones who had to hustled up and got it, to include them with the white legacy, the old money. That was the original democracy. It had nothing to do with the people, right? That's why you could have that and slavery, and no one really lost too much sleep over it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal, and everyone certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of all men created equal. It's slavery. Mm-hmm. So, once one of the greatest shifts in America, American democracy, is when culturally democracy went from excluding the poor whites and slaves and blacks and whoever else, and then to include the poor whites, but to still exclude the blacks. So essentially, you create racism when you do that. It's not about wealth anymore. It's about the color of your skin. So that's the same people that raided the Capitol January 6th. Seriously, like they're like, yo, we tired of this. This is ridiculous. You know, like racist. If the lower class white folks had any sense, and the lower class black folks or whoever is given that designation, if they had any sense, they'd be working together to create their own structures. But you know, that's why people get killed when they start talking like that. So we'll just leave it
there. So what as an educator, as a teacher too, because you know what I'm saying, you're not only an educator, you actually are in the classrooms as well. What so if you were to put together culturally responsive curriculum, what would that look like for you? Like what does that even mean to you? Like culturally responsive curriculum, is that brand new curriculum? Is that curriculum of the old that we now we add a update, you know what I'm saying, like a similar to iPhone, we do like an update. Like what does that mean to you as a not only an educator but a teacher?
Yeah, man, just scroll down the terms of service and just click the button. Now, I mean, I try not to be reactive. I try to be proactive. So already included culturally considerate curriculum. If you're being responsive in America in this day and age, you're losing. Like if you're riding any wave other than something that's organic and comes from your heart and that takes courage, you're losing. So I think about all of the professional developments and all of the like white guilt programming that has to serve some kind of purpose, but I think about how much it set us back in terms of, like you said, what does authenticity even mean anymore? If I could pay some bozo who was never with the shits to tell me what authenticity is and feel like I'm gonna feel like I learned it, you know, as actually getting it from the source. See, to me, a lot of this is connected with what you believe in and what you have faith in. And so if you're just operating in one of the first things I want to know at a heart level is, who do you worship? Because you worship something, you worship somebody. And so it used to be, I felt people were foolish if they worshiped like God in a religious sense. But now I think people are foolish when they worship the written word. Are foolish when they worship their identity. So I'll take a bunch of church loving, Baptist preaching, yogi, you know, flower children over capitalists any day. It's become that people worship. They're so afraid of sticking out that they worship the crowd. Strange, strange, strange existence. So to answer your question, culturally responsive, even that gives me the willies. What I did. Oh, am I lagging or can you hear me?
Nah, you good. I can hear you.
Okay. What I did was I curated my curriculum around things that the student would remember, and then I tried to plant the seeds of things that will forever give them value. Like no matter when you choose to apply this, it will give you value. So there's a reason why we all read The Alchemist first, like all of us. I don't care what grade I'm teaching, we're gonna read The Alchemist first.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that's always going to give you value. You run into somebody in the world who's read The Alchemist, you're now a part of that tribe. You know who they are, the type of person they are, how they react to The Alchemist. So
Understood.
yeah, I'm anti-cap, homie.
That's word. That's something else I wanted to ask you. Hold on. So it's funny. They have so I was on a call not too long ago, and they have implicit bias training now that is youth led. And so it
Yeah,
just
you see the wave rider?
mhm, uh-huh.
Yeah.
And like it was like when people heard about it, like, yo, that's exactly what that makes sense. But it was like that would always make sense, right?
Yeah.
That would have always made sense. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. So as we get prepared for coming back, and you get prepared for coming back next school year with uh, having all your kids back in the building. We was talking about restorative justice practices, and I know we talked about this before. But I think that a lot of schools who are talking about it, it's through the lens of like empowering the teachers, and then also like a restorative, like from student to student, not necessarily student to system, right? Like restorative is like just people based rather than the whole rather than addressing the whole gambit of what needs to be restored. Uh, and I heard like I had some educators who, because I said, you know what, I think that you guys can, if you're talking about restorative justice, you guys can next year make a real change in just kids getting suspended, right? By virtue of being introduced to the Zoom platform in this pandemic, teachers can now, or even if the kids going to be back in the building now, teachers can now Zoom their classes, because kids who would have got suspended, now they don't necessarily get suspended, they get taken out of the place that holds the most value to them, like being in the building. But it's not necessarily you're in trouble. You're in the disciplinary action has to coincide with it. It's like, hey, yo, the fact that you're out the building, that's enough for some of these kids, because the kids who love the building, when they get back into it next year, if they do something that's not safe for the building, you can now say, you know what, you got to be out the building for the next 3 days, but you can still opt into class, right? So I don't necessarily have to suspend you depending on how egregious the infraction is. And then also, but some teachers were like, well, where does that fall with the union? That seems like why would we want to do that and all of these things? And to me, it didn't seem. It seemed like this it made sense. But as a teacher in the classroom for a full year, Dirk, would that be something you was into, or would you be opposed to like having to sometimes opt into just putting your class, even though all your kids are in the building, like making your class go live so that the kids, 2 or 3 kids who are suspended for the day, are able to tap in and do the class and not necessarily have to get a suspension put on their record?
Well, it's the first time that I thought about that, but now that you say it, it seems to make sense. Like, why wouldn't you do that? In other words, the punitive part of suspension is the damage is already done. You're disconnecting them from the community. it doesn't make sense for you to also disconnect them from their education.
Mm.
Now that everyone's kind of used to having an extra pair of eyes and ears in the classroom via Zoom, it seems to make sense now that you say it. Um, I just think it's a great opportunity for Black educators to actually create a network of um, value. So what's going to happen is we're going to have two worlds. All right, you're going to have the one world which really meant what it said when it was trying to do right by people, and then you're going to have the other world which did everything they had to do. They went to the protest, they did the anti-racist stuff, but now that they have the leeway to go back to doing what is just systemic, they're going to do what is systemic. It's going to have that feel, but it's just going to be like, it's not the real. So you're going to have those two worlds, and we're going to have to navigate that. We're going to have to create a nice value structure so that the people who are actually doing it from a heart space and they really mean it, they can like rope us in and give us value for the value that we're giving them. So a better example of that would be, let's say a kid gets suspended, out of school suspension, like something serious, right? That kid is not going to be zoomed into the classroom. That's not like a misunderstanding, a mutual fight type of thing. That's like they're looking at this kid like a potential criminal. Right? So that kid is going to need a space that is not just punitive. That kid is going to need a space that's more like something that we would be helpful with, like a job, like how my office was. Those kids are going to need that. But now that this is the one moment in history where they're kind of used to doing it virtual. We're going to have to take whatever it means, like, oh God, another virtual thing. It's like, yeah, we know. We don't want to be here either, but guess what, stupid? You're the one who got yourself here. So, and then that has to be structured and sustainable, and we got to get the buy-in for it, and then we good. Honestly, that's our specialty. Popping in and out of spaces, checking in. Yeah, okay. Matter of fact, what happened with your man's? YB was like, he commented on the Facebook. Y'all, I'm horrible at checking my Facebook, so everybody who comments on Facebook, I don't never see them joints, but I'm about to start checking them. But he said,
who young boy?
Yeah, what was his name?
Yeah.
What happened to him?
I mean, he ended up, getting caught up in this, in what we trying to tell him to avoid. Man, end up got himself jammed up, hanging out with the wrong guys, and is now facing some real time due to the decisions he made that involve robbery and a firearm. So
Okay.
and
For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, good. But you should know that in New York City, you don't want to have nothing to do with a firearm. That's 4 or 5 years, nothing to do with. But anyways.
Yeah, and so it's bugged because like in looking at this situation, you look at a number of different things when something like this happens. Because if you've been through the system, you know how this is the last thing that you want to get jammed up for. But then, as a consequence of the actual charge, you then start to backtrack, and I'm just like, the pandemic. This is a kid who was high functional, grades, and once the structure of the building left, the structure of his life left, right? And the things that he would normally do, he would come here, be in this building. He filled that time with other energy, right? Not through any fault of his own, outside of like having the time to do so. And so yes, he's responsible to continue to cultivate those relationships. But had he been in a building, you know, and things were normal, he would have been playing basketball, going to practice, you know, regular stuff.
So we lost students directly due to the pandemic. We
Yeah.
lost them indirectly due to the pandemic. Some of them in front of the gun, some of them behind the gun, some of them just through attention. And then also, man, this is crazy because I was just watching a video. They talking about well, I shouldn't say this on this platform. Well, it doesn't matter. We got like 10 people watching. But so you know how they said the virus came from a lab, and then they said it came from a bat, and then it was like, we don't know.
Yeah, then I heard it was pigs and it came from a pig and duck farms in China, or that's what, I've heard
Well,
a number of different things.
the last I read, man, some people was doing things they shouldn't have been doing, and it leaked out. And it's the same people who, you know, how every time it's a big drug bust, like when you read into the details, it's like, and his wife was the DIA chief in New Mexico. And you're like, oh, one of those things, man. So I say all that to say, man, it's like a triple whammy again. Yo, I did my taxes. How do I owe you money, bro? I'm a teacher. I make $9,000. Like, what do you mean I owe? Like, you tripping? Pay like a rack. So I was so tight. Yo, without reparations, y'all gotta really ease up on me. Y'all gotta take it easy
on all of us. You heard?
Yo, I don't think we should be paying taxes, bro. This is kind of crazy. I'm doing it because, listen, I don't want no smoke. I feel you, but also, I can't wait till we get that corrected. Because, fam, truth comes to light regardless. That's why there's so many people suffering in this society, because the truth is right there. It's like, you know how you eat too much red sauce, pastas, or whatever. The food is like you about to throw it up. You ate too much. It's right there. That's the truth in America right now, man.
That acid reflux.
Acid reflux, facts. That's, you ate too much too fast. It's coming up. It's coming up. Palestine. This is madness. India. Yo, that's why I waited to get my shot. And I didn't have enough to process it first. I was just like, you know, I don't really have a fear thing that everybody else got. So I just wait. It was like people was dead panicking. Like, I gotta get the teacher. I'm like, yo, go ahead. Damn, they don't have enough shots. It's like, okay, I'll wait. But then they were like, there's too many. Why are you waiting? I was like, okay, I'll go. I didn't know when it changed from there's not enough to there's too many. Like, excuse me. But then, you know, India got hit with their second wave, and it was just nasty. And then I saw the statistics, and it's just billions and billions of people who don't have, they're nowhere near having access to the vaccine. You know, billions of people. We sitting here throwing away doses. So then I got, you know, I'm like, damn, the privilege, the adversity, Black man in America. This is a lot to balance, bro. And then the mental health component of it. Yikes. I'm just glad all the struggle that we go through to create a sustainable ecosystem for ourselves, and to like bring in bags and actually build things that matter. You know, we could have been out here selling drugs or whatever, like rapping, whatever it was that we was trying to do. I'm pretty sure we could have did it, but the fact that we built sustainable ecosystems based around real values and stuff like that, bigger than the like monetary stuff and the righteousness, it's just like, it's healthy, man. So like at the very least, we could go to sleep like, yeah, we on the right side of this thing, because there's gonna be a lot of people waking up wondering which side they on, brother.
It's ill because the most people are gonna let systems are gonna let you down, but people are going to more than likely gonna let you down, right? Even the people that you care about the most.
For
What
sure.
what ultimately allows you to mend that is the bond, right? Is how much do we have at stake together that allows me to say, you know what, this is worth getting over. You know what I'm saying? Like, what have I done to this before I fucked up and played myself? You know, what did I do? How did I nourish this relationship? And what did I do? What did I give to it? Right? Because you know, everybody that I know that I care the most about, I've had a disconnect with, and ultimately I've been disappointed by some of the people I care about the most. But those are people that are still in my life, and I still part of the recipe for success. And I think that that's important for people to realize, you know, because people have this fantasy, you know, and you know, we on social media and everything is about these dope quotes, but you know, somebody do this to me and somebody do this, they wasn't your real friend or whatever. But like the people who you care about the most usually end up, you know, shitting on you the hardest. But ultimately, anybody and everybody that you let in your life is going to probably at some point disappoint you,
Of course.
and what's gonna make the relationship be able to bounce back is the bond that you have. But I just think people have this misconception that like, oh, yo, I'm saying like, oh, why you still rocking with him? Or I would never. Somebody did this to me. I could never talk to them again. And I think so. You have to be clear on some of those things. You have to draw your line in the sand. But a lot of those things, man, are hypothetical until you actually go through it. And when you go through it with somebody who's not just a stranger, your whole thing is going to be different. Right? You know what I'm saying? It's easy to say, yo, somebody do this to me because you're saying under the pretense that somebody would do it to you who doesn't love you or doesn't care about you. But the reality is that the person that you care about the most is probably going to be the person that's going to shit on you at some point.
Of course. Of course. I think about like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, all the great leaders that stood for something. Man, we really are missing a great leader. Uh, it's just a real void. And actually, I was reading about that today in the W.E.B. Du Bois Gifts of Black Folk. He said one of the things that both killed and saved slavery, one of the things that killed it and saved it was the amount of the sheer number of the slaves who ran away. Now, check this out, because this is an ill way to look at it. He said, the slaves that ran away, first of all, they were bold enough to say, nah, not me, not today. I'm out. Like, you can kill me on the fly, but you're not going to kill me standing here. So they were bold enough and strong enough to say, yo, I'll take my chances. But they were also the type that run away. That's a different thing. You know what I mean? So they were like that combo. But it turned out they were also the ones they were also the warrior class. They were the ones who were like, oh, so I'm gonna have to fight for myself. So they were the strongest, but they also had a little bit of coward in them, and they also had a little bit of they had the warrior, they had the coward, and they had the what do you call that when you negotiate things like bartering, like the hustler, right? So what happened was a lot of when you're just taking that type of person out of a community that slavery is dominant in, that's your leadership basically. That's all of your leaders. So there was like a flight of black leadership. And so those are Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman's. If think about it, if they stayed with the black community, they would have had way more, you know, however it worked out, we don't know. We don't know what would have been best. But I'm just saying our talent fled in masses. And that's the same thing that continues to happen to us today. When we have super talented individuals in our community, they go elsewhere and they start working for the other side. You know what I mean? Oh, you're a brilliant mind. Well, now you're gonna be our token over here, and you're gonna think about it. Jay-Z could get up out the hood, but in order for him to do that, he had to poison his people. You're muted.
When you see when you're a success or you see success, you have to move to you got to get out of the area that was int, int, integral and instrumental in creating you. You can't be there no more, right? Because of the environment. You know what I'm saying, you got to get up and get out if you want to continue to be to prosper, you know. And then yeah, and that makes reaching back harder, right? Because now you reaching back from 300 miles away, right? You know what I'm saying, because it becomes well, what's the narrative? When you say out, what does that mean? Because you can move. If you live in New York, you can move to Jersey, right? But if you're in a certain lifestyle, a certain profession, that you know whether entertainment, Hollywood is better, right? But reaching back to New York from Hollywood without no actual real plan is harder to do. So what you end up doing is giving out turkeys, right? And giving out book bags, right? Which is not a I'm not it's not a bad thing, but it's not as intentional as you know you would want to be in regards to changing the perception or changing what people think are possible, because you don't even know how to do that, because now you're in this world where it's like, yo, giving turkeys is enough. You know what I'm saying? Giving
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, it's a lot of cap, but I think at this point, we're at this perfect moment in history where you can shape your reality to whatever extent that you're courageous in doing what you do. You will be able to shape your reality as much as anyone could. You have that opportunity. You're in one of the most fruitful countries in the world. You got the experience of a black man. You know struggle, you know success. You have built up genuine relationships. What you do in this life is going to echo in the hereafter for sure. You're in one of these very specific moments in history. To honor that every day, um, it's an interesting thing, man. I wonder how many people feel the full power of this exact moment, because it is upon us.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, this is the wave.
mm-hmm,
This is the wave, and every decision informs how it breaks. Like I'm fully convinced. I have the utmost faith that this is the. I see a lot of fear, which only like reinforces what I feel, because when most people get afraid, we get interested. You know, it's like,
mm-hmm,
oh, so now I get it. People don't even know how to socialize anymore. They're relearning how to socialize, and
mm-hmm,
I'm watching it. Oh, I'm watching it. My stomach is turning and my heart is breaking for some folks that because it's such a small amount that get it. You know, so my heart is breaking watching people like go back to social media as if that's what this was about. You know,
mm-hmm.
like they're not seeing the blessing that this whole situation was. Like, you're about to be back in the world. You're probably back in the world right now, acting an absolute fool.
Mm-hmm.
Like you didn't pick up the gems that was here. There was so many gems for you to gather up, tuck away, invest. There was so many gems. And maybe you did, but you throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So, anyways, I'm just watching it happen in slow motion, but I'm also watching the proper ascension. Like when I had that conversation in the school, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna just so you know, we're gonna definitely have Ian and Ann do the PD. I think it'll be great and such and such." And I was like, "That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to go like
Mm-hmm.
it's exactly how it's supposed to go." You know what I mean?
No, facts. Facts.
Yeah. So Yeah, we will see one world coexisting with the other. It's just important for us to stay in a healthy space.
No, I agree.
Oh, I forgot to check, man. What you have for breakfast today?
Oh, what did I have for breakfast? I had a coffee, an almond joy coffee.
Almond Joy coffee.
Yeah,
Damn,
I was
that's from the cart.
no, it was from 7-Eleven.
Okay,
7-Eleven. 7-Eleven.
damn, that just made me jealous.
7-Eleven. Yeah, I just my grandpa that was one of my grandpa's favorite candies. So I said, let me be a little bit like Lloyd today.
Yeah, yeah, get the Lloyd vibes,
Yeah.
Lloyd Law vibes.
Word.
Yeah. What I had a hazelnut coffee and uh, a blueberry muffin. I stopped at Bakehouse. I had some lesson planning I had to do. I had to prep for a meeting, and then I stopped at Bakehouse real quick. Ran in the rows. We ended up having breakfast having coffee right there in the benches.
Hmm.
It was wonderful. I was like, I got work to do, but whatever. Post up and had this coffee.
That's
Perfect.
that's fire.
Yeah. All right, man. I ain't gonna hold you. You got anything else any other gems you wanna drop?
Nah, man, just keep don't be so woke that you get caught sleepwalking. You heard?
Oh, oh, oh yeah. I got something I want to say.
Hmm.
I agree. See, listen. When people don't stop people from doing the work for you. Okay,
Hmm.
so like you said, the parent who's pulling their kids from the schools because the schools is too work. Good. Let them do that. Like we don't want the schools that's faking the funk to be rewarded for faking the funk. Like
Hmm.
if you're being woke, but your culture is not woke, then you're not being woke. Like
Hmm.
stop it. You know what I'm saying? Like go down with your ship.
Now, word.
You know what I'm saying? So are you racist parents that want to pull your kids out of woke schools? You go ahead and do your thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And all you schools that are gonna have to adjust because you have to realize that your culture is actually racist, like, go ahead and do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, let's make sure we keep our energy building up because we don't need to see your skin color to know who you are. So for everyone who's on that vibe, they'll just gravitate towards the right energy anyways. All that other stuff, that's for the news cycle to get people confused and
Hmm.
thinking about stuff that don't matter. Like who cares about how woke you are? You know what I mean? So if you're talking about wokeness, you're gonna get your medicine.
Facts.
You know what
Word.
I mean? So that's all I want to say. Um, yeah.
Oh, another good one in the books.
Spectacular.
Spectacular. You heard?
All right,
Supermax
man.
season. I see you next Monday, bro.
Yeah, of course. I'll try to be woke for this one. Man.
It's
All
all
right,
good,
bro.
bro. I'll talk to you later.